You're not afraid of selling, you're afraid of rejection. A massive truth bomb from Rosalean Batool. Join me and Rosalean for an epic conversation that will help you harness the courage to show up online. And trust me when I say this, I have yet to meet someone more courageous than Rosalean. Tune into this episode and learn how to create clients organically through social media, how to utilize the power of video, why you need to take the time to reply to your comments and DMs, how to handle the haters, and how to get over your fear of being seen. Rosalean Batool is a transformational expert who has helped hundreds of women earn more money in business while overcoming the trauma of poverty, abuse, and abandonment without years of therapy. She uses the power of rapid transformational therapy combined with her own unique skills to help others overcome depression, anxiety, procrastination, PTSD, the fear of failure, and so much more. Rosalean's mission is to help others change the way people perceive pain and turn it into power. Now, if you dig this podcast and want to connect, text me. I'd love to hear about one major insight you gained by tuning into this episode. Text me at 1-781-336-0160. Whether you're new to this podcast or a loyal thought leader, please make sure you take a moment to download a few episodes and drop a rating and review on iTunes. Now it is time to learn how to increase visibility and handle your haters with Rosalean Batool. Leaders, I am back and I am super duper excited to introduce this next guest because this is a woman who displays the most amount of courage I think I've ever seen on Instagram, which is the reason why I wanted to bring her on the show today, because I wanted to provide you with a real true example of what courageous leadership looks like in action. So with that being said, I am very happy to introduce Rosalean Batool. Rosalean, welcome to today's Thought Leader, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Ruby. It's a pleasure to be. I'm honored.
I'm honored to have you. I mean, it was interesting how we connected because we connected via IG because you just started, I think, sharing my shit.
Yeah, I did. I was like, I love this girl. Share. I'm sharing away.
And whenever people share my stuff consistently, I go and check them out. And I went and I stalked your IG and I was like, wow. Like, first of all, here is a woman, and we don't see this often, right? Like, here's a woman wearing her burqa and she's showing up on video every single damn day and speaking her mind. Which, I'm Punjabi, I'm Sikh, and we have similar backgrounds, different but similar. But in our cultures, women aren't really encouraged to speak our minds and voice our truth the way that we do. And you do it unapologetically with such a badass energy. And I was instantly attracted to that because I don't know exactly, I'm not from the exact same culture, but I could imagine the amount of courage it takes for you to show up in the way that you show up. Like I don't even know what your DMs look like or what happens behind the scenes, but it's really inspiring to see someone show up the way that you do. And I'd love for you to, let's start here. Let's start with, why do you show up the way that you do?
That's a great question, Ruby. Thank you. So for me personally, all my life, I felt like I had to fit a mold. So I was constantly being someone that I'm not. I was bullied a lot. I was sexually abused as a child. And it took a lot for me to realize that that wasn't right.
Yeah.
And I think in our culture, talking about abuse is not something that we talk about. It's just brushed under the carpet and you have to go about your daily life and act like it was normal.
Right.
So for me, showing up, like getting rid of that trauma and healing from it and actually showing up, I want to show women that you can do it. Like there's no limit. If I can do it wearing a face veil, wearing a burqa, you can do it being yourself.
Right.
Like there's nothing that can stop you. Everything and anything is possible. But the issue is that when you keep looking for validation from other people, and that's what I was doing most of my life until recently, when I started my coaching program, I was like, I'm done. I'm done trying to please people. I'm done trying to fit in this box. I'm done trying to be this perfect person. End of the day, I have flaws, and I want people to see that I make mistakes. I have flaws, but it's okay because I'm a human.
Right.
It's absolutely okay to be human.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that, because in your religion, why don't you tell us a bit first for our listeners who can't see the video? Why don't you
Yeah.
explain a bit about your religion and the cultural paradigm that religion is raised in?
Yeah. So I'm Muslim. I'm actually a revert. I wasn't born Muslim. I went through many religions. I went to Jehovah's Witness and Christianity. And then I found, actually Islam was one of the religions that I didn't want to research. And because my mom raised us like not to like Muslims. So when I was 21, I reverted. And the cultural, the thing is in Islam is that the religion doesn't teach us that women shouldn't be seen or heard. It's actually culture. And there's a lot of culture that's different. There's like Asian culture, there's white culture, there's black culture within the Muslim religion. And I feel like the women have been colonized, right? And it's like we've been taught to hide at home, have babies, get married, have no education, and that's culture. But our religion teaches us to aim high. Our religion teaches us to take responsibility for yourself and aim high. Like one of the women in the times of the prophet, may peace and blessing be upon him, she was a businesswoman, one of his wives. She was a well-known businesswoman, and she was out there, taking her trade,
Right.
going to different countries. And when I read that story, I was like, wow, women are supposed to be seen. We're supposed to be heard. But it's just the culture of like societal norms and the status quo, and fitting in, like, you're a woman, stay behind the doors, don't speak out, don't be seen. That's culture, and that's what I'm
Right.
trying to break. That it's okay to be Muslim. It's okay to be visibly Muslim, and you can speak and you can be heard.
Right. And thank you for sharing that for our listeners, because I know that especially in the times that we live now, unfortunately, there's so many misconceptions,
Yeah.
or specifically around the Muslim culture, specifically around Islam.
Yeah.
And so just you sharing those insights, I know will help people understand on a deeper level. But
Yeah.
also, it's interesting because we can be raised in a society or a culture that feels repressing, or we can choose to be part of a society or a culture that feels repressing and still find the courage to use our voice. And so like, first of all, were you always this outspoken?
So basically, actually, yeah, I was like, my mom used to call me like, she used to call me like a little storm. I'm like that little storm that is waiting just to like brew. So when I was young, because I was bullied a lot, one thing I have to credit my mom for, like, may she be in paradise, that she used to tell me, just go out there and face your bullies. She would never let me hide. And she goes, you know what, don't let them win. They're going to bully you. Go back to school and let's see if they bully you again. And they wouldn't, like, they would probably give it a week and they would bully me again. But I was the type of woman, I was just very resilient. I was always confident. And I think a lot of people took that as a threat. Like, it's not normal to see like a young girl who's very confident in herself, very like open. But then what happened is, when I did revert to Islam, I did find myself losing my identity. I did find myself thinking, I have to fit in this box. I have to be this perfect Muslim girl. And it's not true. It's the religion, when I started researching it properly, I realized that you don't have to lose your personality to be a Muslim. It actually is supposed to enhance your personality. Because I'm confident, I should be more confident now. Because I'm outspoken, I should be more outspoken now. I shouldn't be repressing myself. That's not what the religion teaches us. So when I actually became a Muslim, I was like, oh, now I need to go and hide. Now I need to just go be a good Muslim wife and a good Muslim, a good Muslim, just stay at home and have some kids, get married. And that's what I did, but it wasn't me. It's not what I wanted. I've always wanted to be successful. I've always wanted to be a millionaire. I've always thought about private jets and having my own private island. That's the type of girl I am. So now that I heal that trauma around trying to get validated from from everyone around me. Now that I've healed, I was like, now this is who I am. I've always been this way.
Yeah. That's powerful. It really goes to show how we can, who we believe ourselves to be becomes like who we truly are. And
Yeah.
I love that you shared that, in your religion, like you didn't have to lose your personality, because I think the same
Yeah.
goes with social media. Like a lot of people look at social media and they actually lose their personalities.
Right.
Right? Like they lose the essence of what makes them because they're trying to conform or trying to fit in or trying to get the likes or trying to like get the attention.
Right.
And so they shape shift into what they think they need to be versus
Exactly.
like what you were saying, enhance your personality. And I feel like that's how you're using social media as well. It's like it not just enhancing your personality, but amplifying it. Like every time I see you do a
Yes.
story or one of your IGTVs, I can feel like who you are, burqa and everything. Like I can feel who you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. And that's the
And
energy I want. Yeah.
right. And that's powerful. And that's what is needed in leadership today. It's
Right.
like we cannot hide ourselves behind the screen. We have to use the screen to enhance who we are.
Right. Thank you. That is such a good point, Ruby. Absolutely. That's your bang on. Because that's the issue. So many of us are using social media to hide our deepest, darkest secrets.
Right.
And we're sitting there on social media looking for the validation, looking
Yep.
for the love, and we're
Yep.
not even loving ourselves. And deep down inside, we just don't feel good. We don't feel whole. So when I do come up on social media, I'm coming up as me, as a whole me.
Yeah.
I'm not holding back on no one. Like people come in and say, you're a bit harsh here. I'm like, that's the whole point. Because I'm not going to sugarcoat your BS. Like that's not the type of person I am. I've never been that way. And to be able to do that, and a lot of my DMs, like they're 80% positive and 20% negative, and I always focus on the positive. And so many women have messaged me saying, you have inspired me to go back to university, to go build a business, to be a better mom. You've inspired me to stand up to my husband and tell him where he's going wrong, just by me showing up as myself. Like it's okay.
Right.
You can set boundaries, you can be yourself, and you can still get people will still love you for who you are. You just
Right.
have to be yourself and be authentic to yourself.
Yeah, I definitely want to go back to the boundaries piece, but first I want to talk about the fact that you wear a burqa. That in
Yeah.
itself is a very visible difference
Right.
that a lot of people do. Let's be honest, the sad
Yeah.
unfortunate truth is a lot of people do have issues with and have preconceived judgments about.
Right.
And I'm bringing this up because I want our listeners to understand, because we have a lot of listeners today that
Right.
are tuning in that are scared to show up online due to like fear of
Right.
judgment, their fear of being seen, fear of being misunderstood, or fear of not being enough, et cetera, tons of fears. And yet here you are with a very visible,
Right.
what some people would consider like a detriment to being
Right.
seen, right?
Exactly.
But you're proud. It's very obvious you're proud to wear your burqa. You're proud to show
Yeah.
up in it. But what was that like? Because I'm sure
Oh, it was
I
scary.
don't know. Yeah, you're like, I didn't even finish the question. Like
I know.
the first time you did a video in your burqa, what was that
Oh my
like?
God. That was scary. If you go back to my Instagram, my first ever video, I was just like, hello, my name is Rosalean. I was so scared. I was so
Yeah.
timid because that wasn't me. I'm a
Right.
very loud person. Like everyone in
Yeah.
my family know I'm the loudest, right? I'm
Okay.
very vivacious, I'm very bold, and very courageous. So when I was making my video, I was like, let me just dim myself down. I might be too
Right.
much for two people because I wear a burqa. I need to be like very meek and very mild. But that's not me. That I feel like my burqa actually amplifies who I am. It goes to show that, nothing can hold me back. Why I wear my burqa is because it's my relationship with God. It's how I worship my God. It's got nothing to do with my identity. It's got nothing to do with me hiding or anything. It's not about oppression. I'm not oppressed at all. As you can see, I'm on social media.
Right.
But it's just my relationship with God. It's how I connect to God.
Yeah.
And like when I show up and I'm showing up with my energy, because people only buy from your energy. People only look into your energy. And when they see how confident you are and you're showing up, that's what I want to portray. But yeah, in the beginning, it was scary. It was very scary. Actually, what's so funny is I used to do health coaching, and that was with Natural. And I never showed, like, I never did any videos. I never showed myself in the burqa. I never showed anything. I just shared products and shared health tips. I never showed who I was. So
Right.
transitioning from that into this, it was like a
Right.
massive leap.
So
I was like, I know
transitioning
I have,
from a feed that didn't have a single
yeah,
photo or video to a feed that is now pretty much 100% you.
right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I became me.
Right.
And it's so liberating. It's so liberating.
But what
It's,
made
it's,
that shift, right? Because
you
like
know,
you were hiding before
right.
behind the health
I was,
business. Okay.
yeah,
So
I was
what made
hiding a
the
lot.
shift?
So basically, it's actually, I think it's when my mom passed away, and my mom had a lot of dreams. And I remember she'd be the one to always like, ignite dreams in me. So, go for your dreams. And then when she passed away, I realized like life is so short. Like
Mm-hmm.
you are not guaranteed tomorrow. So what am I hiding behind? Who am I being? Because there's girls out there who need to see me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to show up for them, because there's women out there suffering, and they need to see someone like me showing up and thinking, wow, she can do it, then I can do it. Because my goal in life is just to inspire people to never give up. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can go through the toughest time in your life, and you can have the worst experience in your life, but just don't give up. So when my mom died, and then I lost my job at the same time,
Mm,
I was actually sacked from my job
right.
while I was pregnant, and then I went through a divorce all in the same
Right.
year. I was like, I'm done. I'm just
Yeah.
done hiding. I've had
Yeah.
enough. Like, I need to be me, and I need to show up for myself and start loving myself for who I am. And then people will come, and
Right.
I'll attract my tribe. And I have.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're doing it really well. And you're a single mom, right?
Yes, yes.
How many
Three
kids?
kids. Three
Three
kids.
kids.
Yeah.
And you're fucking rocking it in the coaching industry.
Yeah. Yes.
Would you say that a lot of that success has to do with how you're showing up online and your
Yes.
visibility? Yeah.
Definitely. And I always say this to my clients. I tell my clients that if you want to run a business, especially in 2020,
Yeah.
and you have social media on your fingertips, you need to be making videos, and you need to be connecting with people every single day. Like
Mm,
I'm making my mission to always reply back to my DMs. I'm making my
mm,
mission to always reply back to comments. When people message me saying I have an issue, okay, cool. Let me give you 5 minutes of my time. Maybe I can help you. That's just what I do. And I love connecting with people. And I find that people can connect with me more because I make videos and I
mm-hmm.
share my content, and I'm very bold, and I'm very outlandish. I don't hold back. And
Right.
because of that, people feel like they can approach me.
Mm.
So
But
yeah.
that's also who you are, right? Like, let's not,
Yeah.
I don't want the audience to get shit twisted. Like, this is actually who you are. And so
Yeah, it
essentially
is.
you're just showing up as
As
you.
me.
Right.
Yeah. It's not, I'm not putting on a fake persona.
Right.
Like who I am behind the camera is exactly the same person that I'm on the screen.
Right.
I'm the same person. Nothing changed. Maybe I might have my mood swings when I'm like, my kids are doing my head in. I'm like, to stop. That's the only thing you don't see. But the
Right.
rest of it, like I'm just me, and I like making people happy. 'Cause I know what it's
Mm,
like to just, when you're really depressed and you're feeling really
mm-hmm.
down, and if someone smiles at you and compliments you, and you feel, wow, you feel so special. That's
Mm-hmm.
just how I want to leave people feeling.
Right.
I want to like leave people better than how I found them.
Right.
That's always my goal. So that's how I've always been. And now I'm showing that on social media. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. You can be loving and open, and you can like exude positive energy, and it'll always come back tenfold to you.
Yeah. And the fact that you have a mission to reply back to all your comments and your DMs. I mean, I'm
Yes.
the exact same way. Social media is a two-way street, hence why it's called social.
Yeah.
A lot
Thank
of people
you.
just aren't using it correctly.
Right. Do you get
But
annoyed with that too, Ruby? I get
I
annoyed.
do.
I don't know.
I don't get annoyed. I just make it a point to know that to let my
Yeah.
clients know, like, hey, like if you really want to create these connections and use social media in a powerful way, then you have to understand that it's a two-way street and you have to be able to communicate.
Definitely.
Because at the end of the day, every single human being on this planet wants to be seen, heard, validated, understood.
Right.
And so if people are like, hey, hi, here I am, hi, and you're just
Yeah,
ignoring them,
exactly.
that's like ignoring someone in person.
Right.
It
Like right
doesn't
in front
feel
of your
good.
face.
Right. So
Yeah.
even like just responding with an emoji, but something that just you taking the time to
Validates them.
respond is
Yeah.
great. Yeah. And it just shows them that you care and that you appreciate the
Right.
fact that they took the time to respond to you, which I'm
Right.
sure is probably um, also one of the ways in which you get your clients.
Yes, it is actually. So actually, all my clients, like I make 5 figures a month, and all my clients are organic. They're all through Instagram and Facebook, and all the people come in my DMs. And because I give them so much time, and I actually I just leave this, it's like a safe space. Every person I've spoken to said, wow, you created a safe space for me. I've never told this to anyone. Like my mom doesn't know this, my husband doesn't know this, but I'm telling you, a stranger on social media. I said, yeah, because I understand how it feels to have so much suppressed emotions in you, and you can't tell anyone because everyone thinks you're fine. And you're faking a smile and thinking, wow, I'm so happy, but deep down inside you're breaking, you're
But that's
bleeding.
why
And
they feel safe, is because you're sharing your story first.
Right, exactly. Yes, I will share. And I'm so candid about it. Some people say, wow, you share so much. I'm like, yeah, I will share everything, because I have nothing to hide. And I find that the more I share my story, the more people show up for themselves. And the more people tell me, like, wow, just by you sharing your story, I became better. I felt like I wasn't alone. And you know what it is? I find that people, especially when they go through mental health issues, because I was not clinically diagnosed, but I was, the doctor suggested I was bipolar at the age of 17. And I knew how that felt. Like, I'm not bipolar, that label. And when you have mental health issues and you're suffering from depression, anxiety, or even suicide, you need to talk to someone. And when you see someone sharing their story, like, wow, they made it. They were able to go through that. They were able to break through it, and they're okay. So that means that can happen for me too.
Right. Yeah. That's great, because you're demonstrating the possibilities with your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Right.
brings me back to what I wanted, what you chatted about just a little bit earlier, which is boundaries. Because
Right.
with social media, like you said, like 80% is good, 20% is, the not so great comments, which, by the way, is like a great ratio.
Yeah.
That's a great ratio.
I know, right?
But talk to us a bit about then the boundaries, because there's definitely, I know from experience, there's incredible benefits to showing up as you online and being super visible. And there's also like a shadow side to it, that we don't have to focus on, but it's there, and
Right. Yeah.
it can break a lot of people. Like, a lot of people will focus on that 20% and let that stop them. So I would
Yeah.
love to hear your experience with that shadow side, and talk to us a bit about what that looks like for you.
Okay. So basically, when I get mainly from the guys,
Mm,
I don't know why, but
yeah.
most of the comments that I get, the hate comments, is from the men. And the way I see it is that they're very insecure. That a woman is so bold, and she's out there, she's wearing a burqa, and they feel threatened by it. And I always say that haters have the most hatred reserved for themselves. So when they
Mm,
see someone showing up online as themselves, they wish they could do that. They
mm,
wish they were you. And instead of acknowledging what you're doing and validating what you're doing and praising you and complimenting you, they
mm-hmm,
tear you down because they hate themselves.
mm,
Back in the day when I first started, I only started properly in 2019.
mm-hmm,
Last year, I started my transformational business. And when I did start showing up and I got a little bit of hate, I sat there and I cried. I remember I sat there
mm,
crying, thinking, oh my God, like, why are people so horrible?
mm-hmm.
But then I remember, because I studied Rapid Transformational Therapy, and I
Right.
remember Marissa Peer saying that people who criticize have the most criticism reserved for themselves.
Mm-hmm,
And everything that they're saying is just a reflection of themselves. So you have to approach that with love. The only way that you can repel negative energy is by just looking at it, thinking, you know what, I just send you lots of love, lots of healing, and that's it. And
mm,
normally I don't even block the people. Like, there's negative comments on my videos and my posts. It doesn't affect me anymore, because I realize that they're coming from their own insecurities. They're
mm,
coming from their own hatred and their own criticism about themselves, and they're
mm-hmm.
trying to bring me down. But you can't bring me down, because I've healed my traumas. I've healed those emotional wounds that I've had for so long. I've healed them, and now I'm not affected by it.
Right. And it's important what you shared about the first time it happened, and how, you
Yeah, I
cried.
cried.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think for a lot of people, I mean, we're human, right? And
Yeah.
so when someone says something mean, like, it
Oh
hurts.
yeah.
It does
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah. I remember that the comment was that, oh, you should be someone said you should put a muzzle on her. That's what it was. And I
Oh,
just sat there crying, like, what? I literally sat there in my room crying. And because at that time I was actually moving home, so I was technically homeless. And I was thinking, if you
right.
knew the situation I was in, you would never have said that. But because I made it about myself, I felt like, okay, I'm making it too much about me, and
Mm-hmm.
not realizing that person has their own personal issues. And when I
Right.
got out of that cycle, because it reminded me of when I was in school and being bullied, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the link that I made.
Right. The
That, oh my
trauma,
God,
it
I'm being,
linked back to a
yeah,
trauma. Mm-hmm.
right, I'm being bullied again. It's happening again. But then I realized, no, it's not really, Rosie. Let's look at it from a more productive angle and realize that that person's coming from their own limitations.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what helped me get through.
Yeah, it's important for our listeners to understand that because, like even for me, when I first started getting hate comments or just like really inappropriate, making me super uncomfortable type of comments, I would
Right.
cry.
Mm.
And because I'm human. And
Yeah.
it's almost like you build a resiliency to it, because
Yeah.
the way that I explain it is like the more that we show up, the more we heal ourselves. Like
Right.
it's
And I
like
love that analogy. Yeah.
right, like don't you find like the more videos you do, the more like photos you show of yourself, the more you're healing parts of yourself because you're letting
Yeah.
yourself be seen. And in that healing, I have become more resilient and stronger. And so now that commentary, like I would say 95% of the time doesn't bother me. Again, I'm still human. There's a 5% where
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's like really upsetting. Um,
Yeah.
but
Of course.
I really want our listeners to understand that, because I think a lot of people get discouraged when they get that first hate comment.
Yeah, and a lot of people that I know, my clients that started their business, they're like, "Oh my God, I got my comment, I hate comment, I can't do this, I can't," and they go into panic mode, and
Yeah.
like you freeze, you go into
Mm-hmm.
fight or flight. You're thinking of it's dangerous. It's
Yep.
become dangerous for me to be seen. So you
Yes.
have to make it safe again. You have
Mm-hmm.
to. This is what I always tell my clients: tell yourself it's safe for me to be seen and heard.
Mm-hmm.
When you keep telling yourself it's safe for me to be seen and heard, because think about it, all your life you were told it's dangerous to be you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why you got criticized. That's why the reason why you got judged, because you were told it's dangerous to be yourself, to be
Yeah.
authentic to yourself, to love yourself unapologetically.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, when I tell my clients, it's safe, absolutely safe. It's safe for you to be seen and heard. It's like, wow, okay, yeah, I get it now. The nervous system calms down, your brain goes back into check. You're like, okay, I can do it again. So it's
Right.
key to know that.
Right. But even with that knowing, that doesn't like, even with that knowing and making that shift, that doesn't stop people from
Yeah, exactly.
commenting or sliding into
Right.
your DMs. So would you say that we just get better at handling it, or
I think so. I think we get
yeah.
better. Just like you mentioned about resilience.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't talk about resilience in business. It takes a lot of resilience and grit
Mm-hmm.
to go through the hate, to ignore the hate comments and to focus on the good. It takes a lot, because we're naturally, as human beings, we are designed to focus on the bad so
Mm-hmm.
we can stay safe. So
Mm-hmm.
it's normal to focus, because we're humans, it's normal to focus on that one hate comment. It's normal to focus on that person who DM'd you, said that you're a terrible, terrible person,
Mm-hmm.
or you can't speak properly, or you have a stammer, whatever. It's
Mm-hmm.
normal, because you are human and you are trying to keep yourself safe. So just like you mentioned, that resilience is so important. When you get better at, I think, when you said about showing up, the more
Yep.
you show up, the more you heal yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you build that resilience. The more you show up, when you keep
Mm.
showing up despite the haters, despite the criticism, you still push through and show up consistently every single day. That's how you get better at handling the hate and the criticism.
Yeah, that's those are wise words, because I think a lot of people wait. Like I think a lot of
Yeah.
people feel like, okay, I'm going to wait until I am at a place where I can handle the haters. And
Right,
let me tell you, if
exactly.
I did that, I would have never had shown up, like ever.
Right.
Like being dealt the haters is what helped me build the resilience to them. Like being dealt
Right.
all that commentary, being dealt like, I mean, I remember I had put this like an ad on one of my YouTube videos. This was recent. This was earlier this year. I put an ad on one of my YouTube videos, or last year, and I forgot to turn the ad off before I went away, went out of
Mm,
town. I usually like to monitor my ads. So I forgot to
mm.
turn the ad off. I come back home, and I shit you not, there was like over 200 comments on this YouTube video. And 75% of them were like nasty, disgusting,
Wow.
like just some of them were pure hate. Some of them were just like, oh, like
Oh
I
my
wouldn't want like
God.
my mom or a family member to see what these men were writing. And
Wow.
I looked at it and I saw a couple and I was like, okay. And then I started scrolling and I saw like literally 200 plus.
Oh
And I broke down. I started crying. And this is
my
just last year.
God.
And I was like, oh my God. Like, first of all, I got mad at myself for keeping the ad on. And second, I was just like mad
Yeah.
at humanity
Right.
for like all
You
these
do.
people. And then after crying for a good
Yeah.
chunk of time, I came back to that remembrance of like, not everyone is healed, not
Yeah.
everyone is at that place of feeling good with themselves. And it took time and energy. This is what I always remember when I see this, is like, it takes time and energy to literally type a message or type a comment.
Right.
So these people
Right.
took time and energy to
Thank you.
actually do this,
Yeah.
which shows where they're at mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And so
Right.
with that, we can then turn the tables and flip compassion their way. And it doesn't mean we have to respond. But that's when I was like, okay, got it. But
Yeah.
which leads me back to the boundaries. Like, so you
Mm.
mentioned that you ignore,
Mm-hmm.
um, and there's a lot of different tactics. Like, some people say, there's certain types of comments you can actually debate with, or like try and not persuade, but get them on your side. You can block,
Yeah.
you can delete, you can
Mm.
ignore. How do you deal with the
So sometimes
haters?
what I do, I screenshot the haters and I tag them and I say, thank you so much for your beautiful comment. I, and it's entertainment. People love that.
Yeah.
People love the fact that I do that.
Yeah.
I just called them out. I said, you got your 2 minutes of fame. This is what you came for. I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
Like, so thank you so much. Or I reply back to them and say, oh, that's such a sweet comment. Even though
Right.
it's the most nastiest comment,
Yeah.
I just like flip it and I use sarcasm because I'm like the queen of sarcasm. So I'll be like, oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. And then they don't know what to say. They're like, yeah,
Right.
you're right. One person actually replied back to me and said to me that, yeah, you're right. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's like,
That's
it's
it.
interesting because like I do the same. I will screenshot certain people, and sometimes I'll have to blur out pictures because they send me nasty pictures. And I started doing that for a while because there was like this period of time where I was getting a lot of really unwanted DMs, and I was like,
Mm.
how can I stop this from happening? Like, I literally had my assistant going in there deleting, I was going in there deleting every day, just nasty DMs. And so I was like, you know
Wow.
what? I don't give a shit. And I started screenshotting and then I'm just sharing it in my stories.
Yeah.
And the more I did that, the less people started sharing those
Yes.
types of DMs. And I was like, okay, great.
Right.
And so I feel like there's also a time and place
Mm.
for the way in which we respond. Like, some of them I respond with humor.
Yeah.
I might respond with just a GIF. Like, one of my favorite GIFs is this GIF where um one of the Real Housewives goes by and she rolls up a window.
Yeah.
Like,
I
that's
love that
one.
game.
Sometimes I'll do that, and then sometimes I will just ignore because it feels like, this doesn't feel like a good use of my
Yes.
energy.
Exactly. And that's what you have to point at. I'm so glad you pointed that out. Is it a good use of your energy?
Yeah.
Is like sometimes I just do it for entertainment because I want to make people laugh.
Right.
And,
Me too.
yeah, right. And the other time I'm just like, whatever, I don't really care. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
carry on talking about me, whatever makes you happy. It's your scroll of deeds, fill it the way you want. I don't really care. But yeah, the other times just for entertainment. And I always comment, like, because there was the guys who commenting saying, oh, because I talk about money, and money is such a taboo subject in culture. Like, people want to be poor, and if you're not poor with them, then you are the bad fish and you're the bad crab.
Or if you're rich, like, be humble about it.
Yeah. Oh my
Like, don't
God.
talk
Like,
about
come on.
money.
I know. Like, I always talk about being a billionaire. I always talk about private jets. I always talk about having my own island. And I'm very vocal about it. And people know me as the girl who wants to be a billionaire. And I like to be known for that. But the men hate it. The men that message me, they're like, oh, you can't say that stuff. You're a woman. You need to know your place. You need to go back to the kitchen. Someone actually said to me that, who's looking after your kids? I'm like, well, certainly not you. Why you're bothered. It's like
Oh my
stuff
God.
like this. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I love that we're sharing all of this because I think it's going to really help people listening feel like they're not the only ones, because
Yeah.
you're not the only ones getting hate messages and comments. Like, we all get it. And one of my favorite people to follow online is a guy named Ramit Sethi. Do you know who he
Ramen.
is?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
first of all, my maiden last name is Sethi. So I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
great.
Ramit, I'm like your younger sister, apparently, somewhere. But I started following him on Twitter years and years ago when Twitter was like super big. And what I loved is he was like one of the first, if not the first person to do this. He would literally screenshot the hate emails he gets
Oh,
and like
wow.
tweet them, but he took the time to write intelligent replies to like
Wow.
everything. Like, I remember there was this one where someone had, I guess, gone through one of his trainings and was like, I'm still not making the money or something. And it was a very long email that this person
Wow.
wrote. And
Yeah.
Ramit had written back saying something along the lines of, if he had taken the energy that you just spent writing this email to actually apply what you learned, I guarantee you would earn some money. And I just, when I saw that and started following him and just saw the way that he was responding, one, I thought it was like fun. Like there's like a little bit
Yeah.
of comedy relief. It shows his personality, which is really cool. But two, it's like, we don't have to be afraid
Yes.
of the
Thank you.
people who hate on us. And that's
Right.
the thing, because I think we can all go into that fight, flight, or freeze mode when we have a hater
Yes.
because we're scared. But
Mm.
we don't have to fear them.
Right, exactly. And that's what a lot of people are doing. They're getting scared. And you know what it is? I always say to my clients as well that like when it comes to selling or sharing their services or sharing their programs, I tell them you're not afraid of selling. You are afraid of rejection. You are afraid of the hate. You are afraid of the negativity. It's never about what you're actually selling or what you're actually doing. Is you are fearing the rejection and you are fearing being seen and heard and, bad comments. That's what the
Right.
subconscious mind is. That's what it's thinking.
For sure. Like
So,
you're afraid of rejection because one of our basic
right.
human needs is to be loved and to belong.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
that's why you're not selling. Yeah. Great point,
Right.
Rosalean.
Yes. Yes, it's
Yeah.
so true. And when they get over that fear, they're like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Like, I don't care. As long as you
Right.
love yourself, and you know what it is, because so many of us are rejecting parts of ourselves. We're rejecting ourselves and we're looking for it in other people. When you start loving yourself and you put yourself together as a whole person and you stop rejecting even the icky parts, even the bad parts of yourself, because we all have toxic traits. No one is perfect. We all carry some toxicity in us.
For sure.
But when you accept that part, you realize that no one can ever come at you because you know yourself. You know yourself better than anyone else.
True. Preach. Okay.
Yeah,
How did time just fly by so
I
fast? I have
know.
no idea. Also, I just want to mention that when we have a chance to meet in person, I cannot wait to meet you.
I
So
know, Ruby. I'm gonna come to Canada real soon.
I'm in LA now. I
in
might,
LA?
yeah, I moved to
Oh,
LA.
I was in LA like on the weekend.
Oh, well, see, what the hell?
I
Okay, we
know.
got to communicate better. But for our listeners who are like holding back on being visible or being as visible as they want, maybe they're dipping their toes in the water, but they want to show up more. What is one piece of advice that you would give them?
Love yourself. Like, I know that sounds so corny, but like, this is how I did it. I just looked in the mirror and said, I love you, Rosie. And it felt so icky in the beginning. Like, I felt sick to my stomach telling myself, I love you. But just actually standing in front of the mirror and looking at myself dead in the eyes and saying, I love you, Rosie. Even the crappy parts of you, even the ugly parts of you, I love every single part of you. That helped me show up. That actually helped me get on camera. That actually helped me make more videos because I was telling myself, I love you. No one needs to tell me I love you. I love myself.
Yeah.
So I know it's so corny. I know it's like probably the most generic advice, but it really helps. It really helped me.
Yeah, because we do. I mean, we have to love ourselves enough to show up, right? We have to love
Yeah.
ourselves enough to show up for a purpose, for our mission, for the people that we're here to serve. We have to.
Right, definitely.
Yeah.
And people only resonate with you when they see your energy. And when your energy is whole, when your energy is like magnetic, that's because you are loving yourself. Even the icky parts of yourself, you're still loving it.
True. Love that. Oh, thank you so much,
You're
Rosalean,
welcome.
for sharing your presence, your energy, your wisdom with today's thought leader. I so appreciate you.
Thank you, Ruby. No, thank you. Honestly, it was a pleasure. It was an honor to be on this podcast. So thank you.
And to our listeners who joined us today, thank you so much for joining us on today's Thought Leader, where we are challenging you to rise up, speak up, and create a movement. Now, Rosalean, please tell our audience how they can stalk you online, and I will be sure to have these links and more in the show notes.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram. It's Rosalean Batool. Facebook, Rosalean Batool, and YouTube, Rosalean Batool. So as soon as you type in ROSA, I will come up.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have those links and more in the show notes. If you dig this episode between me and Rosalean, please be sure to drop a rating and review on iTunes. And Share this episode with a friend. If you have a friend, a fellow leader who is struggling to get their message out, share this episode because it could really make a difference. And of course, follow Rosalean on social media because you need a little bit of Rosalean in your feed. Let me tell you. If you have any questions or want to reach out and say hi or share your biggest insight from this episode, reach out to either Rosalean or myself on social media. My handle is at I am Ruby. And feel free to join my text community at 1-781-336-0160. Thank you, Rosalean. Thank you to our listeners. And I will see you back here on Monday for a brand new episode of Today's Thought Leader.